Kirby Smart spent 11 years learning from the greatest college football coach of all time.
What's the kind of mentalities you take on this offense?
Well, I learned from a really smart guy.
What's his name?
I can't remember. But you try to do more with less.
He studied Nick Saban's system. He memorized his process. He absorbed every detail of how to build a dynasty.
Don't be a blame guy, okay? That's the first sign of loser mentality, when you blame someone else for a mistake.
Then he left Alabama, took over at Georgia, and beat Saban at his own game. Back-to-back national championships in 2021 and 2022, something Nick Saban only achieved with Kirby.
Is it going to be tough watching Texas hoist the SEC championship trophy this year?
In what sport? Baseball or basketball?
Kirby Smart didn't just learn from the master, he surpassed him.
Like, okay, now I got to finish. And finishing on a guy that size is harder than you think.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So how did a small-town Georgia kid become Nick Saban's protege? How did he build a dynasty that dethroned Alabama? And how did the student become the new master? This is the story of how Kirby Smart became the new Nick Saban. Kirby Smart was born on December 23rd, 1975 in Montgomery, Alabama. But he grew up in Bainbridge, Georgia, a small town in the southwest corner of the state. Football was everything in Bainbridge, and Kirby lived and breathed it. His father, Sonny Smart, was a high school football coach. Kirby grew up around the game. He was a ball boy for his dad's team. He watched film with his father. He learned the X's and O's before he even played organized football. At Bainbridge High School, Kirby was a star. He played defensive back and was one of the best players in Georgia, but he wasn't a five-star recruit. He wasn't getting calls from Alabama or Florida State. He was good, but not elite. So Kirby committed to the University of Georgia, his hometown school, the team he'd grown up watching, and he was going to play for the Bulldogs. At Georgia, Kirby played defensive back from 1995 to 1998. He wasn't a starter until his junior year, but he was a smart, tough player who understood the game at a high level. He finished his college career with 173 tackles and 5 interceptions. But more importantly, Kirby learned how to study football. He watched film obsessively. He understood defensive schemes. And by the time he graduated, Kirby Smart knew he wanted to be a coach. After graduating in 1999, Kirby got his first coaching job at Valdosta State as a defensive backs coach. Then he moved to Florida State as a graduate assistant under Bobby Bowden. He was learning from one of the legends. Then in 2003, Kirby got a call that would change his life. Nick Saban, the head coach at LSU, wanted him to join his staff as an administrative assistant. Kirby didn't hesitate. He was going to learn from the best. At LSU, Kirby watched Saban build a national championship team. He saw the process, the discipline, the attention to detail, the relentless recruiting, and in 2003, LSU won the national championship. Kirby Smart was hooked. He wanted to build programs like Nick Saban, and when Saban left LSU to coach the Miami Dolphins in 2005, Kirby followed him to the NFL. But the NFL didn't work out for Saban. After 2 seasons, he left Miami and took the head coaching job at Alabama in 2007. And once again, Kirby Smart followed. Nick Saban hired Kirby Smart as his defensive backs coach at Alabama, and that's where Kirby became a coaching legend. From 2007 to 2015, Kirby Smart was the architect of Alabama's defense. He coached the secondary, but more importantly, he learned how to recruit, develop players, and build a championship program. In 2008, Kirby was promoted to co-defensive coordinator. By 2009, he was the sole defensive coordinator, and Alabama's defense became dominant. In 2009, Alabama won the national championship. Then they won again in 2011, and again in 2012. Kirby Smart's defenses were suffocating. They were fast, physical, and disciplined. They embodied everything Nick Saban preached. Alabama's defense in 2011 allowed just 8.2 points per game. That's insane. They held LSU to 0 points in the national championship game. They made offenses look helpless, and Kirby was the mastermind behind it all. But Kirby wasn't just a great coordinator. He was a recruiter. He could walk into a living room and convince 5-star players to come to Alabama. He built relationships, he sold the process, and he landed top talent year after year. By 2015, Kirby Smart had spent 11 years learning from Nick Saban. He'd won 4 national championships as an assistant. He'd built some of the best defenses in college football history, and he was ready to be a head coach. Schools came calling, but there was only one job Kirby wanted: the University of Georgia, his alma mater, the school he'd played for, the program he'd dreamed of leading since he was a kid. In December 2015, Georgia hired Kirby Smart as their head coach, and the expectations were sky high. Georgia hadn't won a national championship since 1980. They were a good program, but they weren't elite. They couldn't compete with Alabama, LSU, or Florida for national titles. But with Kirby Smart, that was about to change. Kirby brought the Alabama blueprint to Athens. The recruiting, the discipline, the process, everything he learned from Nick Saban, he implemented at Georgia. His first season in 2016 was rough. Georgia went 8-5. They lost to Vanderbilt. They got blown out by Tennessee. It wasn't pretty, but Kirby was building something. Then in 2017, everything clicked. Georgia went 13-1. They won the SEC East. They beat Auburn in the SEC championship, and they made the college football playoff. Kirby Smart had Georgia playing for a national championship in just his second season. In the national championship game, Georgia faced Alabama, the student versus the teacher, Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban. Georgia led at halftime. They were dominating Alabama's offense, and it looked like Kirby was about to beat his mentor and win a national championship in year 2. But then Saban made a halftime adjustment. He benched quarterback Jalen Hurts and put in true freshman Tua Tagovailoa, and Tua lit up Georgia's defense in the second half. Alabama won 26-23 in overtime on a walk-off touchdown pass from Tua. Georgia's dream season ended in heartbreak, and Kirby Smart was left wondering what could have been. Over the next few years, Georgia kept getting better. They won the SEC East in 2018. They recruited at an elite level. They developed NFL caliber talent, but they couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't win the big one. Alabama kept winning national championships. LSU won in 2019. Clemson was dominant, and Georgia was stuck as the bridesmaid. Close, but not close enough. Then came 2021, and everything changed. Georgia put together one of the most dominant defenses in college football history. They allowed just 6.9 points per game. They had 5 future first-round NFL draft picks on defense. They were suffocating, led by defensive tackle Jordan Davis, linebacker Nakobe Dean, and safety Lewis Seen. Georgia's defense was a nightmare for opposing offenses. They held Auburn to 10 points. They shut out Arkansas. They dominated everyone. Georgia went undefeated in the regular season and won the SEC championship. Then in the college football playoff semifinal, they demolished Michigan 41-7. Georgia was heading back to the national championship, and once again, they were facing Alabama, Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban, round 2. But this time, Georgia was ready. This time, they were the better team. And this time, they weren't going to let it slip away. The game was a defensive battle. Alabama had the lead late in the fourth quarter, but Georgia's offense, led by quarterback Stetson Bennett, drove down the field. And with less than a minute left, Bennett hit Adonai Mitchell for the game-winning touchdown. Georgia won 33-18. Kirby Smart had beaten Nick Saban, and Georgia was national champions for the first time in 41 years. Kirby Smart dropped to his knees. He cried. He hugged his players. He'd done it. The student had finally beaten the master. But Kirby wasn't done. He wanted to do something Nick Saban had never done: win back-to-back national championships. In 2022, Georgia came back with a target on their backs. Everyone wanted to beat the champs, but Georgia was loaded. They had Stetson Bennett back. They had tight end Brock Bowers, one of the best players in the country, and their defense was still elite. Georgia rolled through the regular season. They beat Oregon in the opener. They destroyed Tennessee. They crushed LSU, and they made the college football playoff again. In the semifinal, Georgia faced Ohio State in one of the best games in playoff history. Ohio State led late in the fourth quarter, but Georgia came back. Stetson Bennett threw a touchdown pass to give Georgia the lead, and their defense held on. Georgia won 42-41. They were heading back to the national championship game, and this time they were facing TCU. The game wasn't close. Georgia destroyed TCU 65-7. Stetson Bennett threw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Brock Bowers was unstoppable, and Georgia's defense dominated. Kirby Smart had done it. Back-to-back national championships, something Nick Saban never accomplished. The student had officially surpassed the master. Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. Since taking over at Georgia, Kirby Smart has built a dynasty. He's won 2 national championships. He's been to the playoff 5 times in 8 years. He recruits at an elite level, consistently landing top 5 recruiting classes, and he's developed more NFL talent than almost any program in the country. But what makes Kirby special is that he learned from the best and then made it his own. He took Nick Saban's blueprint and adapted it. He built a program that emphasizes defense, toughness, and discipline. But he also embraced the modern game. He recruits elite offensive talent. He hired creative offensive coordinators, and he's willing to evolve. Nick Saban won 7 national championships at Alabama. He's He's the greatest college football coach of all time, but when he retired after the 2023 season, there was no debate about who inherited his throne. Kirby Smart is the new Nick Saban. He's the coach every program wants. He's the recruiter every high school player wants to play for, and he's the standard in college football. Georgia isn't just good, they're a machine. They reload, not rebuild. They lose NFL talent every year, but they keep winning. That's the Saban model, and Kirby perfected it. Kirby learned from the best, and now he is the best. This weekend, when Alabama and Georgia face off, it won't be Kirby versus Saban. Saban is retired, but his legacy is alive in Athens, Georgia, because Kirby Smart took everything Saban taught him and built his own dynasty. The student became the master, and college football has a new king. Kirby Smart is the new Nick Saban, and he's just getting started. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to The Football Explained for more breakdowns like this. We'll see you in the next one.